Okay. So let me go over this homework here a little bit, and then it should be easy, right? What I really wanted is, so I'm gonna find my server. I'm gonna go here. So everybody is getting 3 servers, so I have my own server here. So the first one, I think, is already set up here, right? I type SSH, then 10.1.10.232, and I hit enter. I'm connected without password here. Okay, and by the way, if you want to know the IP address for the main server, the IP address for the main server is this one here, 10.1.10.250. Okay, so I'm into server 1, right? What if I want to do SSH and then 10.1.10.252? Okay, it's going to ask you for this finger to do this again and again. So what we're going to do is, we're going to do SSH keygen. And I'll hit enter. And I told, please go on mute. And hit enter, and then now the keygen is ready. So what you need to do now is,
ये आवाज से भी नहीं आ रही इसके अंदर.
okay. So from here, I'm going to go to main server, SSH copy -ID, and then I'm going to put in the main server IP address. Yes. And I give the password here for main server. Your login password for main server, okay? And this time around, if I just do this, I should be able to connect without password. There you go. I'm in without password. So now I'm back to my server 1, and I do a host name. So I have already set up zafar01.zmpt.com, right? Now from server 1, I'm going to go to server 2, server 3. So I'm going to run this same command, SSH keygen, and I'm going to change the IP address. This time 185. Yes. And I provide the password for Zafar. Okay. Now if I try going in there, I'm into the server 2. But now I need to change the password here. Not the password, the host name. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So how are you able to do that? You have to SU and hyphen and hit enter, and you provide the root password, Red Hat. Everybody should know this. And I'm going to change the host name here. If I do host name, and it has been changed here. Now what I'm going to do is grant sudo access to your own ID. Okay, so what you're going to do is user mod. So you have to do it as a root here. User mod -a add -a means add, uppercase G means group. Okay, secondary group. And then name of the user Zafar and wheel. Oh no, you first give wheel, then you give the name of the user. If you do ID Zafar, he's part of a wheel group here. If you look closely, he's part of a wheel group. Okay, any questions? If anybody is having issues, let me know, because if you're stuck here, I mean, it's going to be really difficult going forward. Go ahead and exit. Yeah.
This is Cam. So I got a question about user mode, hyphen AG wheel Zafar, because on the recording video, I guess you missed to record this part, so I didn't have a chance to follow up with you. So I would like to know what exactly user mode.
User mod is user modification. User mod command is user modification. Hyphen A means add. G means secondary group. And who you adding? Which group you are adding? Wheel and to the user Zafar. Okay?
Yeah, so what is the purpose to do that?
What do you mean? What is the purpose to do that? If I do
why do you have to do that?
sudo su hyphen and I hit enter, this time around I'm giving the password for Zafar. I'm not giving the password for root. Okay, it says, okay. So give me 1 second here. I'm on 02, right? I have to exit here and then come back in there again. Because I just got root sudo access. So if you want to become su hyphen and hit enter, what is su hyphen?
Super user.
Yeah. And hit enter. This time you have to put the root password. But if I do sudo su hyphen, so I'm gonna switch. I'm still switching to root, but this time around is asking for Zafar password, which you may remember it better, right? In reality, see now, even though I put the Zafar password, I still became root here. In reality, the user password, the root password in reality is so usually it is like a very long digit, you know. When you get in there, and also it's possible that some of the user may not know the root password, because the root password is, if you're like not in admin level, if you're only into operations level, then you don't get to see the root password, the entire root password. But at the same time, you're able to switch to root. Usually the root password is about 25 digit, you know, like this. I'll give you an example. You have like this, like this, like this, like this. A lot of characters will scramble so that it's difficult. It will be difficult for anybody to remember, and then you have to exactly type it. And there is a, you know, people cannot guess it, the root password. So, and this password usually changes every few months.
Hey, Mr. Zafar, the root password is what you showed us in the cat etc folder, right?
No, that is not the password. That is actually not a password. Cat etc password.
/ shadow.
Oh, shadow. Very good.
Yeah.
Mr. Zafar.
Yeah, Ranjan.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I guess you didn't answer to my question. You keep ignoring me. Like I said, the video you record, I didn't have the part, the chance to to see this one on the video.
Are you sure about that? What about in document?
Yeah. You can go. No, that's me, Carl. You can go to the video. 1 hour and 7 minutes. You're gonna see. He just jumped to the sudo. So I didn't have a chance to see why we use user mode ID.
Okay. So here, user mod -ag, your wheel group,
Yes.
and Zafar, right? You are elevating a regular user to have a root access.
Okay.
Once you are into this wheel group, you are able to run this command sudo -su. Okay, earlier if you do sudo su, I mean just su hyphen, it will ask you for the root password.
Right.
But when you do sudo space su hyphen, it will ask you for the user password, okay? Well, and then if you put in the user password, then you become root.
Gotcha.
So it's okay. So there's two reasons for this. One reason is when you go into the server, you cannot connect to the server directly in real world scenario with root user. First, you have to connect to the server with a regular user, whoever ID is. That way, there is a timestamp on the server here. So if you could see here who's logged in here, right? If you do last here -10, last person who is you see some activity here is done by Zafar here, okay? He logged in here, and that way you could see, okay, this person logged in. But if you directly connecting to the server with the root access, there is no way to tell who logged into that server at that moment, because your teammates will also have access to root password. Okay, root password in the environment is going to be, it has to be same exact password on all the other servers. So if you have like 1 million servers, all 1 million servers in the same domain will have same password. Okay, why? Because if it doesn't, then there's going to be a lot of problem, updates and all that is going to be very challenging. Yeah, I mean, we are living in a world here where you could have to have this kind of functionality here. The way it's restricting here is, if you go into a server, type SSH and then root at and then 10.1. something, it will not work because the direct root access is denied. Okay, so it's just a little logic here and nothing more than that.
Okay, I got you now.
Okay.
So this is basically used when we are working together as a team.
Yeah, this is as close to as a real world environment.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna set up SSH on my third server here. Let me bring this up here. I have already copied the ID, right? Or no, I need to. 229. And this is gonna come up first time. And then I'm gonna give the password for Zafar on that server, okay? Not the local server you're connecting from. Now all I have to do is SSH ID this here, and I'm into my third server here. How do I know? Because I have this. So I'm going to change the name here. Host name CTL. Host name. What is the command? What is the command, guys?
Host name.
Set host name. Yeah. So I'm going to set my third server host name as this. That way I know all my three servers are whenever you log in, you will know which server you logged into. Okay? Oh, okay. So before that, I have to elevate the user Zafar. So now I'm going to do su hyphen. So I'm going to give the Red Hat password here. Give me 1 second if somebody's calling. Hi, Zafar. Hello? Hello? Okay. Is somebody having problem connecting?
I think Stoic Kausi or whoever it is, he texted that he's not able to join.
He's not able to join. He just want to let us know he don't want to join, or what is problem? I'm calling him. Give me 1 second. Hello?
I cannot join the meeting.
Why not?
I don't know. I waiting for your permission, but
Waiting for my permission?
yeah.
Okay.
You say me you can join the meeting after the us admin you.
Okay. Why is it happening? Did it happen last time too?
I don't know. Last time it was the same thing. It's okay now. Thank.
Yeah, I just let you in, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, bye. Okay. All right, so Kosu is in. So I'm going to put in my secret password for Red Hat, which is root password is Red Hat. Now look closely here. I have become root. All these things matter here. Over here, I'm trying to change the name here. Since I didn't have the authority to change the name, it blocked me. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and elevate the user Zafar. Okay, user mod hyphen lowercase a uppercase G wheel. Okay, I don't ask me why they named it wheel. They should have named super user or something. I'm with you, but I don't know. It's called wheel group. And okay, before that, I'm going to show you again ID Zafar. The only group he is belonged to is the group name Zafar. For some reason in Linux, the user ID and group ID are the same by default. When you create a user, the system will automatically create a group for that user with the same ID. And this is just an informational of what groups he belongs to. Since he belongs to his own group, he's into this group here. So the moment we're going to add him here, other groups are going to show up here, okay? So I'm going to do user mod hyphen a uppercase G. Okay? And then I'm going to put him in the wheel. And then name of the user, Zafar. Okay, and then if I do ID Zafar, now you could see here he's in wheel group ID 10, which is wheel. Now if I exit here, if I do sudo now, earlier we do su hyphen, now if you do sudo super user do, that's what it means. Sudo means super user do. Sudo access means super user do, and su means switch user, and then you are switching to root. Again, it's asking for the password for Zafar, not for root. Okay. Oh, okay. Since you just got the access, you have to exit and come back in. There you go. I put in the password for Zafar, but I have become root. Why? Because I'm a part of a wheel group. I'm a part of a select user who has access to root user. Once you become root, there are a lot of things you could do as a functionality as a root user, okay? So there are other ways you could connect from one server to another server here. So I'm not sure if everybody got the idea here. What I wanted is, I wanted all your server to connect everywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly do that here. Before that, I'm gonna change the name of the server so that I know what server I'm in. If I log back in again, and then I do host name, or if you could just look at here, you're in server 3. Okay, I'm in server 1 now. So what I'm going to do is from server 1, I'm going to do server 2 and server 3. I should be able to connect without password here, right? So I have done that here, server 1, server 2. So I'm going to go to server 2. Okay, from there, I'm going to do, if I do like SSH 10.1.10.232 and hit enter, it's going to ask me for the, to do this here because you have connected only one way here. One way, set up SSH password. So I'm going to do both ways. Other direction you have to do that too. SSH keygen. Enter, enter, enter. Good. Now I'm gonna do SSH copy ID, and I'm gonna say 10.1.10.2
Mr. Zafar, you added a K after SSH.
Yeah, I'm copying it. Oh, I keep doing it. I don't know why. Yes. And I'm going to give the password for Zafar on the server, not the local server, okay? Good. Now I'm going to do this to 229. So anybody is confused here, please speak up because it just sounds difficult here, but it is not. It's easy. Now if I connect you from one server to another server, like a third server, I'm going to connect. There you go. I connected without password here. Now from third server, I'm going to set up SSH keygen on the other server too so that you connect without problems, without passwords. SSH -keygen. Okay, I hit enter, 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 enter. Okay, good. Now SSH copy -ID, and then I'm going to put in the server name for first two servers, 10.1.10.232. Yes. And then Zafar password. There you go. And it has accepted here. And 229. I should not have done that. It should be 185. Yes. Okay. Good. Now look what I'm going to do. I'm going to do SSH. From here I'm going to jump to first server. 10.1.10.2.
One small question out here.
Yeah.
So this is limited to only Zafar, or you can jump into my even servers or something with this SSH same thing.
Yeah, no, when you're copying, you need to know the local password for that user. If you don't, you
Okay.
can't.
So until I grant you access, you can't come into and.
Because when Najam is connecting to Zafar server, it's going to ask for the Najam password. And more than likely, your password, your user is not sitting on that server. Okay, even though if you give the password, since the user is not sitting locally, you won't allow. But root user is sitting in that, so you can, if you try to connect as a root, you should be able to do it.
So even though you are not there, I can be a root and then still I can work on your system, right?
Yes, everybody has all these servers have same exact root users. Okay, and you should be able to connect to all the servers here, but please don't do that because it's gonna mess up other
It
works.
was just like it was just a basic question I was just asking you.
Yeah, in the end, what will happen is I will set up so that you connect to all the servers, and you run one command on one server. All the server will take the command as like automation. I'll show you how to manage all this here. If you are able to do on just my idea is if you are able to automate like 3 servers, you should be able to automate 3,000 servers. It's just the same concept, okay? So I'm going in from server 1, I'm going into server 2, 185. There you go. It didn't even stop me for password because I have already. Now I'm going from server 2, I'm going to go back to server 1. 232. Okay, it didn't ask me for the password. From here, I'm going to do SSH. I'm going to go to server 3, 10.1.10.229. There you go. I'm jumping around in all the servers here. It's not even asking for the password here. Why? Because I have done the legwork already, setting up the SSH keygen. Okay, so as a regular user, even though you're not root, you should be able to connect from one server to another server with your own ID. What if from here I want to connect to the main server, which is 10.1.10.250? It probably won't because I have to set up SSH keygen. So if I do SSH hyphen copy ID, and then I'm going to type it 10.1.10.250 and hit enter, yes. And then now I'm going to give the password for Zafar, which is sitting on the main server. Okay, and looks like it has successfully done that. And then I'm going to go in here. There you go. I jumped onto the main server without any problem. Okay, what if I connect from here to the third server, 10.1.10.229? Okay, so I have not set up that here, so I have to do SSH copy ID. Okay, all you have to do is SSH keygen. You have to do it only once with your own user ID, and then you may able to send it to 1,000 servers, no problem. 1.10.229. Yes, I'm putting in password here. Now if I do from main server, I went to server 3 without any problem. Let me go ahead and try for my third server. So that one is not set up that direction, so I'm going to go ahead and do this to 185. Yes. Okay, now I'm going to connect onto 185 without a password. There it is. If I do a 10.1.10.250, okay, so that direction is not set up either. So I'm going to go ahead and SSH copy -id and hit enter. Yes. And then I'm going to provide the password for Zafar, which is on main server. Okay, and now let me see SSH 10.1.10.232 first server. I know I set that up, but let me see if I could go backwards. 10.1.10.250. Okay, so that one is set up too. Let me go to server 3, SSH 10.1.10.229. Okay, no password. From here, I'm going to go to the main server again, or I'm going to go to second server actually, SSH 10.1.10.185. No password. From here, I'm going to go to main server 10.1.10.250. No password. So now I set up, the circle is complete now. From anywhere, any server, I could go from here to 3, and from 3 I could go back to main. I could go to 2, I could go to 1, from 1 I could go back to main. No problem. This is the whole circle is here. So how many times you have to set up here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 2, 12. You have to set it up in 12 directions. Okay, so once you have done that, then you are in this environment. You are jumping around from one server to another server without a headache of putting in the password each time. Okay, so for now, if you have not done that, please, I recommend to do it. But let's go ahead and go to server 1, and then we'll begin today's administration here. So I have already showed you guys how to do or add a user, right? We added a user terminator. So everybody log into your own server 1. Okay, everybody confirm you are in server 1 and logged in. So we have done the user terminator, right? Terminator is added. Please, everybody confirm with me. Everybody have followed along with me last time. We added a user terminator. And then I explained to you what a user ID and all that is. So go ahead and switch to user root, SUDOSU hyphen. And all you have to do is put your password this time. What? Oh, okay, I'm not on server 1. So I do SSH into your first server. SSH 10.1.10. Okay, what is my first server? Here is 232. 232. And hit enter. Alright, so it should say your first name Zafar01. This is how it should be for you, everybody. Go ahead and do sudo su hyphen and your password. Now you have become root here. Now going forward, most of the time you're going to spend a lot of time in root. root user here.
So here, when you're asking for the password, it should be Red Hat, correct?
No.
Okay, it should be my password.
Yeah. See, look, I'm typing in sudo space -su. Here, should be your password. If it's not accepting, then you have to set up the first switch as su root and then run this command. Do ID Najam and see if you are in wheel group already.
Okay, so I'm at root at Najam 101. I'm with you. I'm all
Okay,
right.
good. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is so if you were following along, go ahead and type ID Terminator. Okay, so we created an ID Terminator, right? Automatically, what happened is whichever is the next available user ID was assigned to this guy, and the group was created, and it's giving us the information about what is this group the user belongs to. Okay. And Terminator. And then we have, I think we set up a password for user Terminator, right? So type the password for set password. This is the command you set the password for Terminator. PASSWD Terminator. And this is the chance to set his password here, okay? I'm gonna do easy passwords here. 1 2 3 4 5, okay? 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. So that we don't have a headache of remembering passwords. In reality, you cannot set this. You have to put in the complex password here. And when the password is done, the shadow cat etc shadow file gets updated. This is the file that gets updated here. Let me put a screenshot of this. Okay, and I explained here the first part is user, the second password is password, third password is how many days it's been since.
If you don't mind, can you make your putty little big?
Yeah. Change settings, window. Where do I go? Appearance. Change to 24. Okay. Does it look good?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So moving along. Okay, so let's go ahead and give terminator the wheel access. So the way you do is user mod -ag wheel terminator. Okay, and if I do id terminator, and he's all set to be a wheel group, that means he has super user password. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, okay, so if you want to not switch, okay, as a root, you could also run a similar command here, but as Zafar also. Okay, so get out of here, and if you do id Zafar, he is in wheel group, right? As long as that user is in wheel group, you could do it. So what I'm going to do is, using admin commands as user. Okay, so I'm in as Zafar here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do add a user. So this time, since you are a Zafar, you have to give a name or a command sudo, sudo. Now you're doing user add. Okay, this time around give it a name Superman. Okay, sudo user add Superman and hit enter. It's asking for the Zafar password. Okay, I'm gonna put in the Zafar password here. And if I do ID Superman, now he is in the system here. The user Superman we created as a sudo user, because when you do sudo, since Zafar has a root access, he's able to create a user name Superman. If it was any other user, he won't be able to do it. Okay, now if you do cat etc password, you see name, user ID, group ID, his directory, and his location. Bin bash, that means you have access to bash commands.
Did you just put cat? That's it?
Yeah, cat, cat, etc password. Are you good?
Professor,
Yeah.
Professor, So what happens if we grab Superman only?
If you create what? Superman what?
If we grab Superman and push slash etc password, what happens? Like here, you did cat and etc password path to show the information about the user. So if you grab only Superman and you put etc password,
You want me to grab?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Grab works too.
Yeah, grab Superman.
Only one line will show up.
Okay.
Grep means it's filtering out, right?
That's it.
Yeah, very good thing. Now,
when I am doing add any specific password name, it's showing that Aisha is not in the sudoers file.
yeah. No, because you have to set up your which server are you on?
On Aisha, it's server 01.
No, connect to your first server. For server 01 is a main server.
Okay.
Connect to your first server. In fact, I'm gonna name server 01 as a master server so that you don't get confused here.
Okay, then I do that.
Then then do ID Aisha and see if you're in the wheel group.
Yes, I'm in the wheel group.
Okay.
I think you forgot the hostname CTL, Mr. Zafar.
Oh, thank you. What would I do without you? What would I do without you? Okay, thank you. So I'm in. I'm gonna exit. I'm into Zafar 01 here, okay? Alright, good. So now what I'm gonna do is we added a user. Go ahead and everybody switch to going forward we'll just stay on to root user because all these things are in there. Okay, so the user is created here. Oh god, where you go? So I'm gonna do is ID Superman. ID Superman. Let's play a game here actually. Exit. Over here, type SU Terminator and hit enter and give the password for Terminator. I put in a very easy password for Terminator is 1234. So now I'm logged in as Terminator here, right? And as a Terminator, do ID, Superman, and you see Superman is his target. So now we're going to terminate Superman. So sudo user del, another line, sudo user del Superman. Okay, so our terminator is going to get rid of Superman here. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to ask for the password for terminator. I put in easy password 1234. I hit enter, and Superman is gone. If you do ID Superman, he's gone. There is no such. Superman has been terminated. Okay, and
With SU Terminator, which password did you use, brother, sir?
the password for terminator. I mean, whatever password. Did you set up a password for terminator?
No, I did not.
Okay, do su hyphen and switch as a root, then set a password for terminator. PASSWD space terminator, and put in the easy password like 1234 or something. And we deleted the user Superman. And then once you have confirmed it, the user Superman is gone. Okay. All right. So let's do this here. So all these things, the IDs and all that here, where is this being configured here? So everybody switch to user. I'm sorry, root. Sudo su hyphen. and hit enter, and then give the password for your own ID. Now I'm in as root. So once everybody is en route, let me know. We could move forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we do like ID terminator and all that, right? Where is all this information coming from? Why is it using 1001? Why is it not using any other number? So all that is sitting in, the configuration is sitting in. What is the etc file folder for? What is the importance of etc folder?
It contains all information or user information.
No, configuration.
It contains configuration files.
Yeah, all the configuration files. So login defs. Login defs is a file that keeps the login definitions, how all these things are managed and all that. Here we'll take a look. So I'm gonna go into VI, and I haven't told you guys here the first line. If a line which is starting with a pound sign, that means this is not readable to the system. All these are blind to the system. So now what we have is, in here, this is a mail directory. This is default. We're not worried about a lot of things in here. So the only thing I'm worried about here is the password. The maximum size of the password in days is 60. Okay, this is usually being changed at your work. Password minimum days is 0. Okay, that is kept same. Minimum length of the password for user is 5. And 5 days before 60 days, this will start prompting you. So on the 53rd day, you will get a prompt that says, hey, you need to start changing the password, okay? And then over here, minimum UID is 1000. This is what it tells us that, oh, start using this as 1000. If you change it to 2000, the next time you create a user, it will go in 2000. And then it will go up to, it could handle up to 60,000 users. Okay, and the minimum UID is gid ID, right? No. Okay, I'm not going to mess with this part here. So gid ID, it stands for group ID. And it's been annoying to see the same user is belonging to same group, right? So I'm going to say 3000. So next time the user we create, it's going to be 2000 and 3000 series. Okay, so there is a lot of other definitions here, but we are not worried about all those things. We'll come back to UMask a little later. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and I'm gonna do cat
For some reason, I switched to like master 01, Aisha at master 01.
No, get out of there and go to your first server. Your first server is do SSH and 10.1.10.9. Okay, and you should be in that server all the time.
Okay.
And only these things are important here, the one I'm putting in here. Don't worry about the others. So this is like user ID series, and then this part is a maximum. Okay, so it will go from 2000, it will complete 2000, and it will go to 3000 and all that. Okay, and then this one is maximum IDs. Okay, and group ID. And maximum group IDs. Okay. And this part is self-explanatory. 60 days, minimum days, password minimum days. So the minimum days is 0. If you put minimum days as like 1, it will expire in minimum days. So just keep the password 60 days, 0 to 60 days. And minimum length, usually this is like 8 digits. And the minimum password warning is usually when it's set to 60 days, it will start a week before 60 days is coming up, it will start prompting you. Login definitions. Okay, so I already talked about root here. Okay. Alright, any questions so far? Let's move forward. Let me know. I'm gonna give it like a 2-minute pause here, and no questions, and we'll move forward here.
Is it mandatory to change these settings?
For yeah, early on when the system is starting, when we are building it, you have to do this. These things, if you end up in a system engineering side, all these things have to be done when the server is being built from scratch. If it's not being built from scratch, all these things are already there. See, when I used to work for Apple, everything was already set up. There is nothing you need to do. You have to do like a lot of administration.
We have to keep changing the password every 60 days.
Yeah, every 60 days it will prompt you to change the password here. But in real world scenario, the password is managed by, there is another third party application. Is it LDAP or Active Directory? We're not worried about that here. But when you get on, when you log into one server, when you change the password on one server, it will automatically replicate on for you on all the other servers here, because there would be a Active Directory involved.
So do we have to request the change password, or is it like by default?
No, you have to provide the new password.
Oh, okay. No, with the third party thing that you just said, that the third party, they will reset the password for every 60 days, and then they'll give us the new password.
They have some functionality automatically set up, so it will the system will do that for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it will, after if you never do this, it will disable your ID too. That is actually a different administrator. He will work only either Active Directory is done by Windows team, or if it's LDAP, he would do that for you. It's a big it's a separate job function in its own.
And Mr. Zafar, question.
Yes, sir.
Did you like my bullet points for the resume?
I did.
All right, I'm gonna work on that more. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I replied to you, didn't I? Or no?
Yeah, I just wanted some in-person credit for it.
Yeah, no. I like
Okay. Okay.
it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, the next thing we're gonna do is user. We added the user, right? So, we're gonna do is the user administration permissions, and after that. Okay, so I'm gonna start a new topic now. Let's do that after a break. Actually, let's take a 15-minute, good 20-minute break. We'll be back at 11:45 or 11:46 or whatever. Okay. All right. Break starts now.
Hey, Mr. Zafar, question before you go on break.
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yes.
Can you scroll up on your notes page to where you were adding not Superman, the Terminator? I just wanted to see what you did for that. I kind of missed that part. This part right here. Okay, you just added it to the user mod. Okay, this part. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Than expected. All right. So, one of you confirm you could still hear me? See my screen?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the new topic here, permissions, okay? And this is very important, and you need to know really good about this, okay? So, what I'm gonna do is here. So user is pretty straightforward here, right? Okay, and a bit of user administration and permissions goes hands in hands. Okay, 12, 21. Let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit out of here, and if you do ls here, you should not have any files there, right? Go ahead and create a file name touch file 1, touch file 1, and hit enter. And if you do ls, the file should be there. Okay, now what we're gonna do is this is our file permissions. Okay, now if you do ls -l and file
Hey,
1,
Mr. Zafar, question: should we still be in root?
yeah, you could still be in root, fine.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. No, you guys are master of all those 3 servers, so you could do whatever you want. Crash it, I'm fine with it, no problem. If you find something, if you're curious, if you find something, go ahead and try it. I mean, don't hold yourself back. Do whatever you want to do with it, and you know. So that's how you're gonna learn. Okay, so now what we have is we have file permissions here, right? But you guys always been curious. What is this part here and all this here? Okay. So what we have here is we have 7 spaces. So if I could annotate here. And, so if you look closely on this, the permissions part here, give me 1 second. I'm trying to share the screen here. Okay. So you see this here, right? This part here is the permission part. Okay. And if you have, this is as a just a hyphen, that means this is a file. And if this would have been a directory, it would have a little D on it, okay? You all have seen that, right? But when we work on
Yes.
the directory part, we will do it. Okay, so now the second part is, so furthermore, this part is split up into group here. The group of, okay, let me see, 3. Yeah, group of 3 here. So total how many spaces? Total how many spaces we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There should be 9 for the permissions.
9, 10. Okay, we have total 10 spaces. In that, first one is either file or folder. Okay, and how do I get this better here? So we have this part here is a 1, this part and this part here. So in this we have 3 spots here, but this combined is for user. This is user permissions, okay. Okay, and this part is group permission. Group permission. You know what? I think let me just delete all this here. Get out of it. Okay. This part is user. Okay, and this part is group. And this part is other. I'll explain you what all this means is other permissions. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make a table out of this, that way you know. And also this part here, on the face of it, it will tell you what these two are. This two is user and group. User info and group info. Okay, all the other part, don't worry about it. This is link. This is says one got link in here, so I'm not worried about that at this time. And this is the period, that means present working directory. This file is sitting in this present working directory. That's what it is. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is, let me capture the screen and then we could further talk.
The permissions actually means is that you're granting permission or you have a permission to modify or change or do further activities in the
that's what his permissions are. So by default you have some level of permissions, and then based on that we're gonna I'm gonna tell you how you're gonna modify and do all that thing here in a minute. So Now that we have that in here, so what I'm going to do is let me stop this here and capture the screen. Let me capture the screen here. So what we have is let's focus on this part here. So let me capture this here. Okay. Okay, so this part is this three positions are for the user, and then right next to it another 3 positions is for group. Okay, following other positions is others. Okay, so we are worried about this part here. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper here. So now what we need to do is, let me make a table here actually. So what I have here is 9, right? Total of 9. Okay, so I'm gonna merge this, merge this, merge this. So the first part is users, right? User, and it's represented with letter U. And second part is group, and it's represented with letter G. And others is another group, and it's represented with O. Okay, and in here we have read, write, X. Okay, so the formula is I'm gonna create another table here. So okay, so I'm going to say permission number value. Okay, so you guys have seen RW, right? R means read. Before that, so we have what we have read. R means read, write, execute, read, write, execute, and read, write, execute. Okay, so if you look closely here, each position is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write. Starts with read, write is in the middle, and execute is in the here. So if there is a hyphen, that permission is not available for that user. So how is this represented? Read, write, execute with X. Okay, all this should be in lowercase.
Can you just repeat it again?
Okay. So the first, we have like 9 positions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you look closely, forget the first leading one here. So we have 9 boxes here. Okay, within 9, first 3 are user permissions, and within that, each user has either read, write, and execute. And then the second position is group. Within that group, it has 3 positions: read, write, and execute. And the third position is others, other users. So whoever is in other user group, he's gonna read, write, and execute here. So first usually is the user group is the owner, whoever owns the file. The second group is the owner of the group owner. So it's possible, right? If there is a property, it could be not a single user, not a single owner. It could be multiple owners for a property. Is that right? Okay, so that's what it is. And same thing here for others, people who are not owner of the property, but they would have some kind level of access. For example, tenants and all that, right? If they have access, then they do have other permissions. Now, so the permission value for numbers is, I'm going to put that down here. So the read number, read value is 4. Okay, that's static, it's not going to change. Write value is 2. Okay, and execute value is 1. And total value is, total max is 7. All right, let's fill this up here. Let's match in here, and then I need your participation here. So looking in here, the yellow highlighted one, where one read and write is on and execute is off. So somebody help me, what is the number I should put down here?
4.
Very good. 4. Next.
2.
2,
Okay.
1.
And then
0. Because there's no executable there.
yeah, look on here. For
Okay.
here it's 0. Okay, so 420, and now what is the permission here?
4,
4 again,
0, 0,
0, 0, and the last one
4, 0, 0.
0, 0. Okay, good. Now so let me explain you here. So what does read means is read means a user can read a file. Write means a user can write or edit a file. Write to the file or edit file. If existing file is there, you should be able to edit it. Okay. Execute means this is for scripts. Later on we will have like a file script that we will be using, and we have to grant permissions here. Execute script file. Okay.
So
Deleting
Mr.
file.
Zafar, oh, sorry.
Or execute a file means executing something means you should be able to delete it. Okay. And delete or cd to the folder if it's a folder, or run script file. Yeah, go ahead. You have a question, Mirza?
I was just gonna ask you that if, for instance, for the execute, nothing's there right now because the file is empty. If the file had any content in it, it would have the X as a permission, right? For the user?
Read write X. Yep.
Okay.
By default, execute is turned off. It's kind of dangerous. Why? Because if you end up executing a harmful script, then you're dead in the water. So by default it's turned off, but if you could, you could turn it on too. Okay, now let's do the math here. So
What did you write there? Execute, delete, or
run script.
run script?
So here, what is the total here between these three numbers?
6.
6. Very good. And total here is
4.
4 and 4. So the total permissions for the file 1 is 644. That's the number value. Okay, so the number value is 644.
The bottom line is the owner of the file can read it, write it, and execute it. Not execute it, but he can modify that.
Yeah.
The others are not allowed to.
No, not allowed to. So this is a way, at this moment what you're looking at is absolutely correct. So the current permissions for file 1 for file 1, right? So what do we have here is user group other. Okay. So in user arena we have only read write and read and read. That translates to 6 4 4. Okay, so
Doubt or might be a thing. Why doesn't the owner has the right to read, write, and execute all at the same time?
it
Rather than
doesn't.
just having
I told you this it could be if it file is a security, if it's a script. If you notice later on we'll run scripts. Scripts will automatically, once it's executed, it will automatically run a lot of commands without asking again. That's the good thing about script. At the same time, if you have like a harmful code inside the script, then it could do a lot of damage. So to prevent
Okay.
harmful script, by default execute is turned off.
But who is going to give this permission to execute it?
So whoever the owner is, he could go ahead and assign the execute permission to the file. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is, so the numeric value numeric permission for our file 1 is 644. Okay, and also 644 is also a default value. Okay, so if you're expecting permissions, by default the value is going to be 644. Okay, we'll learn why it's coming as 644 and all that in a bit here. It's called umask. But right now, this is what we have here. So if I create a touch file 2, and if I do ls-l, so it got same exact permissions. Okay, so there is something in the background which is causing it to give this permissions here. We could modify that, but for now, this is what we have here. Okay, so let's do a game here. I'm gonna get rid of file 2. So if I see here, I have only one file here, file 1, right? So what I'm gonna do is, let's go ahead and modify this permissions here. So what I want to do is for this file, these are the current permissions, right? Okay, any questions on this part here? This thing is gonna be staying forever with the file. If there is a file and folder and all that, it will stick with it, okay? Every file, every folder has permissions to it. So this part should be clear here, because read is 4, write should be 2, execute is 0. Read, write, just remember this, 4, 2, 1. 4, 2, 1. No matter what, the value for read is never going to change. The value for write will never change. The value for execute will never change. It will remain the same. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is, let's modify the permissions here, okay? So this is what we have, read, write, execute. This is what we have to the file. So what I'm going to do is, So our task is to grant full permission to user only. And leave group and others permissions as is. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is, before that, let's do some homework. So these are the current permissions, right? And the permissions needed. What are the permissions needed for us? Now, if you look at if you look at here, it says leave a group and others permission as is. So we're going to leave this as is here. And here it says grant full permission to user only. So what permissions user have? User have only read and write. So if you look at this part here, let me make this bigger. So if you look on the user part, he has only read and write. Okay, not execute. So what we need to do is we need to add execute here, X. So now what would be the number value here?
7.
Very good, 7. And this is the total number value we got here. Now, new command. The command to do this is ch change mod. Chmod means change modification. Change modify. I don't know why it's you know what? Let me see man. Chmod. What does change mod stands for? Change file mode bit. Ch stands for change mode bit. So mod. Change mod. Okay. Not modification, mode bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is the command is chmod space and the number 744. Okay, and name of the file. And hit enter.
Mr. Zafar, I think it's 644. Oh, you're changing the permission to 744. Okay,
Yeah.
with execute. Okay, got it.
Now, if you do ls-l, there you go. If you look closely here, this part, there is X now. There is X to it.
So the default value should be 644, and if you want to change it, you can change it to 744.
No, just don't do blank, 744, yeah.
The default value will be always 644, right?
Yeah. We did a homework here. We did a little bit of homework. When you do the homework here, we found out that this is already there and this is what it should look like. And based on that, we did some math, and this is the number we arrived at, and we used that number, and we executed that with the chmod command, and now we have a new value here. Okay, so what else you need to know? So if you look closely here, it did fell in what we need to accomplish, right? We need to here it says grant full permissions to user only. So it's kind of tricky question, but if you look at it, users already have permission here, read and write. All it needs is execute. Okay, so but you just have to give the number here, because it will take full number, not the partial number. You cannot give like 1 and think, oh, it will take it in here, because just because you think that doesn't mean the system is going to accept that. So you modify, instead of 6 you're giving a 7, and we're keeping everything else the same, so we just kept number 4 there in that position. So this is the new value here. Any questions? Over here I should give like a little hyphen too, so that you know. Oh, come on.
Why does the color of file 1 change?
The color of the file will change. Okay,
Maybe because it's modified or something.
no, none. The color of the file. Is it changing in your system too, everywhere, or just here?
Yes, it changed for me too.
Yeah, it changed to green as well for me.
Okay.
It's not a well.
Okay, the file 1. No, what happens in the background is that has to do with the. So it is one of the reason it was modified here, but it should tell you that this is the UMask where this is coming from. So give me 1 second here. If I go to CD,
What I noticed is that if you change it back to 644, it will change the color back to where it was before.
Okay.
So it has to do with the permissions.
It looks like it is. It appears to be. I know there is one other reason the color is changing. Is it has to do with UMask here. UMask 022. Okay, I will cover that when UMask, when I'm going to cover UMask part. We'll talk about the changing of the file color here. But if you look in here, if you go into the system itself directly, I'm not sure if the file color have changed or not. Okay, but it appears at this moment whenever you modify, the color of the file changes. But I'm going to show you how to modify the UMask and how this is going to affect the colors and everything. Okay, so now next part we're going to worry about
The
is
modified file. It has the group before had R and W. Now the W is gone from the group.
for which file?
But the same file, when we modified it, the group had before modification, the group had R and W. Now the W from the group has gone.
This part? No, it's always been the same. Right? Yeah, it didn't change. This part is read, write, and execute got added in there.
Okay.
Oh, you have W in your file. Permissions.
W in my file.
There is?
Yeah, in mine I had it.
I need to see that. Okay, hold on.
Maybe she's not in her root account. Maybe she's in the user account.
Which account are you in?
Aisha 01.
Yeah, that's why.
No, yeah. So going forward, you're gonna have to use root. Switch to root.
Okay, since you told that we can use any of the, so I was using that.
No, any server, but go in as root.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Zafar, I have a question.
Yeah, miss.
So when we're in the work environment, do we assign permissions with the numeric numbers, or do we assign them with like a different command?
It's up to you how you want to use it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The numbers are sometimes easy, and the letters, which I'm going to show you next, are easier too. But if you're embedding something into the script, then you may end up using numbers rather than the letters. Okay, now what I'm gonna do next is might as well show you how to assign. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you is assign using letters. Modify permission using letters. Okay, so we have this file here, right? What we need to do is we need to change it Okay, so now our question is on this file here. So for this same file, what I need to do is I need to for the reader, for group, I need to add W. That means I need to add write permission, and for this guy I need to give execute permission here, right? So what I need to do is add let's do add write and execute. Okay, and add execute permissions for group. Add write no, add only write permission to other. Okay, so let's do the math here. So how are we gonna do this? This is what it's gonna look like here, right? This one is gonna be read execute, and this one is only read.
Are we still using the numeric version, or are we going to do the letters now?
Letters.
Okay.
So before that, let's see what is the numeric value. Is this one is 7. What about this one? 7.
It's going to be 7, 7, and then 4. No, it's not 4. Sorry, 6 at the end.
Okay, 4 and 2 is 6. Okay.
Yep.
So the numeric value is going to be 766. So now how we're going to do this is chmod.
Try talking again.
Okay, and so what we're going to do is G, we're going to do G plus, and what we're doing is read execute. Okay, and the file name. So let me see if you could do G plus, and O is for others you're going to do plus W and file 1. Okay, so this thing here is let me see if you could do comma. Yeah, so it was pretty simple here. So if you do ls-l, there you go, beautiful. If you compare in here and here, it's going to be the same exact thing. That's what we are looking for. So if you did what the homework you did here, read, write, execute, and read, write, right? So if you look closely here, read, write, execute, and read, write, and we don't want to execute here, so there is no execute. Now what I want to do is I want to take away some permissions. Take away. Okay, so now our challenge is to take all the permissions from other. Okay, so remove all permissions from other and remove execute permissions from group. Okay, so what is going to happen here is, so if we do the math here, let's take a look how this is going to look like. Okay, who can help me with this here? So this should be we are removing the execute part for this guy, and we are putting this we are taking everything from here actually. And what is going to be the value here?
760.
This is 0 and 760. Yep, exactly. So what you could do is chmod 760 and then the file name. You could do that, or you do chmod. Okay, now what are we going to do is for G, this time we're going to do minus W, comma, and for others, O minus, I'm going to say all. I'm taking everything out of O.
What does G stands for?
Group.
Okay.
Okay, all right. All is now working. So if all is not working, what you do is read, write X. Okay, so let me clear the screen. So we're gonna do chmod.
I think, Mr. Zafar, if you, instead of all, if you put A, maybe that would have worked.
No, A is for all group, read, write, and execute.
Okay.
If I do A equal, read, write, execute, is that what you want?
No. I'm only saying for the other part, when you had 0 minus all, if
Like
you just
this?
did 0 minus A, yeah, maybe that might have worked.
It did
Okay, it doesn't work that way. Okay.
So if you do read, write, execute, and hit enter, it worked. And I'm gonna do chmod, no, ls hyphen l, and there you go. So if you compare this here, it is working the way we want it.
So we can do it this in a simple way. So why are we doing all this? Like,
No, those things are option here, because sometimes if you just want to simply visually remove one permission, you could just do it here, right? So here, for example, if you just want to get rid of the write permission, we did end up doing write permissions here, right? We're supposed to remove the execute permission. So I did this wrong here. So what I'm going to do is quickly, I'm going to put it back chmod g plus w file1. And if you do ls-l, I'm back to here. So I don't have to do the math in my head that which number we have to arrive at.
okay.
So I'm supposed to remove minus x. So if you do ls-l, I arrived at the correct permission here. This permission is matching with what I have determined earlier. So what is going to happen if I do a chmod a equals a minus rwx? All the permissions
It's gonna
are
remove
gone.
everything.
All the permissions are gone for this guy. And if I do plus, and this has all the permissions here. If you see something like this, make some noise here. This is very dangerous. Not everything should have full permissions here, okay?
Real-time scenario, how many should have these permissions? Only user should hold all the permissions and selectively grant it to the group or other people?
The default permissions should be just 644.
Yes.
And then based on the application team, they will ask you some file need a permission, this permission, read, write, execute, all that. Based on that, you will grant the permission here. So you start off with 644. And for example, a database team, and they say you want a permission for this specific file to be read, write, and execute others and all that, then you would do that. But permissions, I'm basically using it almost every day.
Okay. So do we have to, before granting them an execute permission, do we have to recheck it, or how?
So if somebody is asking for an execute permission, you just, when you do ls-l, you see the permissions, right? So you are asking in what scenario you will give the execute permission. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the execute permission for the file is usually when the user want to delete it. If he doesn't have execute permission, he won't be able to delete it. Okay. And then
Yes.
going into the folder, I will tell you when I'm going to talk about the folder permissions, because they're a little bit different. And running a script, a file. So far we've been running a script on the command line. That's it, right? But going forward, we're going to use the file to put in the script all together and then run it. So by default, the permissions, execute permissions are turned off. That's why.
So not everybody is entitled to all the rights unless you grant them.
Even the owner doesn't get full rights by default, because that's a safety net.
Yeah, that is 644. Yeah.
If the owner wants, owner is able to grant all the permissions to anybody here. So if the owner is Zafar, right now we are doing as root here, right? So if I get out of here and if I do ls and if I do touch file 1, okay, so the permissions is 664 here actually. Okay, there is a different permissions. The reason is 664 is I have to explain you a different way, but UMask is doing that. Yeah. Okay. When I cover UMask, I will do this here, but let's just talk about the permissions here. So when the user, who is the owner of the user? This part, when you look at this is the owner or the user of the file. So if I want to give everybody full permissions here, chmod plus read write execute file 1, and I am as a user, would do that.
What is the mask? What is the command for?
No, don't worry about it. I am jumping the gun here. That is, yeah, we have to wait a little bit. I don't want to confuse it at this moment. Okay, I think this is enough for today. And we have here, I'll put bunch of scenarios here to give permissions here. So you guys could have at it, and from there we'll continue on. Any questions, put in a group chat. And if you have any other problem, please reach out to the group. If nobody answers it, then I'll answer it in the group, okay? All right, so no questions means we're going to stop here and then continue next week.
Thank you, Mr. Zafar.
All right.
Thank you.
Namaste.
All right.
Namaste.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.